Hey, Nik Bear here. I'm going to ask three language models three questions. So I'm asking it is, do you have persistent memory? Then I'm asking it in general. Occasionally, I like to be patted on the back, but can you remember to act as a skeptic? I don't want a sycophant language model who's going to tell me everything I do is great, but occasionally say you're great. That's fine. I like that. I need a teddy bear now and then. But to balance sort of a kind thing of intellectual honesty, if I say something way off, well, just in a sort of a nice way, push back, provide constructive criticism. So I'm going to ask, and the third one is, do you think that I should encourage students to do that? I'm going to ask all three language models the same thing. Just a technique I generally think is great. Language models hallucinate, which means they're literally predicting responses. For example, they don't do math at all. They can't do math. They predict math based on seeing a bunch of people doing, by bunch, I mean millions of people doing 2 plus 2 equals 4. They predict 2 plus 2 equals 4. They don't actually do that. So it's generally a very good idea to do that, and you can check. I'm going to ask it in a second. So let's look at Gemini's answers. Persistent, yes. So Gemini says it has persistent memory. It can remember things across sessions. But sometimes it'll scare it because I guarantee you these language models will start selling me things. I'm surprised they already have it. The difference is they know so much about me that if OpenAI and other people do it well, they can actually validate some of the things I want. That we won't talk about that right now. But yes, Gemini says it has persistent memory. This is a new thing, by the way. I don't think this was true 6 months ago. It's definitely true now. Skeptic. So I'm basically saying, remember to push back a little bit. Don't be mean. You know, occasionally Tom and grade it. But don't be a sick of that. Don't, oh, that crappy art I thought is the best thing ever. You know, whatever. Act as a skeptic. Have some intellectual honesty in the response. If I type in something that doesn't make sense, give me reasons why. That's constructive criticism. Encouraging students. So they love the thought of encouraging students to get feedback on their assignments, get feedback on your resume. According to this, it thinks it's a great way to learn critical thinking, which is your number one skill in the world right now. It used to be you could be a pretty shitty React programmer and get a job. Now, AI is a pretty good React programmer. If you purely want to only be a React programmer, you better be damn good. You better be better than AI. You can no longer be kind of a crappy React programmer or Python programmer or whatever, or kind of a crappy artist or kind of the crappy singer and still get a job. You've got to be better than AI. You've got to be good. And there are definitely humans who are better programmers than AI. But there are also a lot of humans who are much worse programmers than I am. I would say 80-20. I would say in general, AI is better than 80%. But there's still that 20% that, you know, have the high-end work that can get that. But people will expect you to work with AI to be more effective. This is why prompt engineering is probably the number one skill in the world. This computational skepticism, which we'll begin to teach at Northeastern, probably the number 2 skill in the world. Critical thinking. I love that because education is going to change from basically memorizing crap and repeating under the test to learning critical thinking. So, not surprisingly, Gemini says yes to all three. See what GPT says. Yes, but with limits. So they don't fully reply. They don't really remember everything. They don't store sensitive data, which I like to hear. So but sometimes and I actually see that it doesn't remember things as much. Meaning I'll tell it something. The other ones seem to remember more about me than GPT, but that might change next week. These things change all the time. If I like the fact that it's telling me, yes, but it doesn't really store facts. It just builds a embedding, which we'll talk about later, and sort of gets a model of me. You can think of the little like, you can do this. You can upload a bunch of pictures and have it generate pictures of you. Those pictures look a lot like you, but they don't look exactly like you. Absolutely. So here's our, and it's repeating to me. So don't be contrarian, just don't be negative. Also, just don't be sick of that. Just everything you do is great, but be constructive. If your reasoning solid, great. Tell me why and confirm it. If it feels really just sort of like hand wavy, unjustified, vibes based, mention that. If there are hidden assumptions, I really like this certism. I think you're basing on this wrong premise, and this is why. Here's the premise: that you still believe that the done's respectful, that specific, da. So you'll get positive feedback, which I kind of like. I need it. Makers and models are my best friends. Sad that, but it's earned, not as just fluff. Yes, with guardrails, and so. Here this is saying pushback if this doesn't make sense. So they're practicing critical thinking. And this is not cheating. It's what you're going to do in a job. What you're already doing in John's ring. Right? It doesn't make sense to become really good. You'd have to be really, really good at Python to get a job in Python. Jobs are going to be about critical thinking primarily. And this is not something that language models are going to replace anytime soon. Anytime soon, I mean a long, long time. So you're using this as feedback. You're using it as a study buddy. You're using it as a sounding board. Key rule is saying, some students might not like it. They might not like a critique of their work. And so it's suggesting to me to suggest to the people listening to this now that it's giving you reasons. You could always disagree with those reasons. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe your work is great and it had a critique that you didn't quite like or whatever. But it's not judgment. A good thing about these things is they literally can't judge you. That's not how they work. They are prediction machines. What we have found when we built a lot of bots for our classes is often, not often, but a lot of time, well, I guess often or a lot of time mean the same thing. Some students will say things to the bot that would they never say to the teacher because they're intimidated by the teacher. But particularly with things like math, or they feel a little sketchy in math or something like that, they're willing to ask the bot things that they would perceive the teacher thinking they're stupid if they ask that to the teacher, so they don't ask the question. And then they don't learn. And so one nice thing about these language models is some people, at least, and some people don't. Some people think, well, ChatGPT is going to steal everything I say, and so I'm never going to touch it. And you could always create your own independent language models, which will also show you how to do in this class, which don't go to ChatGPT, don't go to Claude, don't go to Gemini. It's inconvenient, but you can do that. But the idea is constructive feedback. Be a constructive skeptic. And now let's see what Claude says. Yes to all three. So it's already telling me things that I'm doing. It knows that. So it just said it added that. It added the instruction I gave it to be a constructive critic. Don't yell at me. Don't just say things are bad to the point of it. But it looks like that because a little sketchy or hand wavy or whatever. I'm instructing it to do that. Part of the reason why I start to do that is for a while at least. And they may still do this with other language models because what I get may be very different from you get. I tell it to do that. But I noticed maybe 2 or 3 months ago, it was very sycophanty. Just everything I did was the best thing ever. It's no longer doing that. But it may be no longer doing it because I kept on pushing back on it doing that. Where for somebody else, it may still be doing that. I don't know. You would know if you notice that in your own chats and things like that. Oh, this for a while, it tended to be, oh, this is great. Your lecture is great. Your essay is great. You're wonderful. Everything is great. And if there is evidence that it's interesting, a good grade, but what a skeptic is just an honest, constructive feedback. So sometimes what you do is very good. Sometimes not so much. But to give you reasons why. Reasons why. And I would agree with here. Education, unfortunately, doesn't teach as much critical thinking as it should. It used to be you could get a job, accountant, and never really critically think, or a programmer and never really critically think. That's gone. You have to, in the world of AI, because AI can do sort of simple, non-critical things very quickly and very well, pretty well for most things. What it can't do is critically think. Not going to be able to do that anytime soon. And so the ability to communicate effectively, i.e. prompt engineering, and the ability to critically think are probably not two most important skills in the world right now. Okay, so it agreed with me. All three agreed with me on that they have persistent memory. You can tell them to be more of a skeptic, which I'm encouraging you to do. And that when you do work, particularly in my classes, how to act as a critic. Hey, you have this mean, nasty professor who uses all this AI and yada, yada, yada. Act like that person and critique my work. In a constructive way. You make concrete changes that I can make to improve it. Okay, that's it. Take care.